I was not the father, ran out of milk so I went to the store and didn't come back. I did a DNA test on my fetus and found out my wife slept with my homie 6 years ago. Her sister told me after going to visit her to find out how the delivery of her first child was. She confessed to me that 6 years ago my wife told her that she slept with her best friend. In her words, my wife was very sorry. At the time she told me I was with my son and immediately after leaving her house I went to take a paternity test with him, fearing the worst. A week later I get the results and my fears came true. My son is not mine. For some reason, I began to see the boy differently, more as an acquaintance than a son. With proofs in hand I confronted my wife at night when the child was sleeping. She asked me who told me and I simply told her that it is none of her business, although obviously it will not take long to connect the dots that it was her sister. Well, that is not my problem now. Regardless of that, I asked her for a divorce, which is now in process. She was devastated. She swore to me more than once that nothing happened with anyone again, that she has been faithful to me in body and soul since then. I held back the urge to insult her to avoid complications during the divorce issue, not believing a word she said, mostly blaming the alcohol instead of taking the blame herself. After talking about it, she threatened me saying that she would demand full custody of the child. I was so annoyed at that moment that I told her okay, I don't want anything to do with something that is not mine, that she keep the child and I'll keep the dogs. We have 2 dogs that we adopted as puppies and they are currently 8 years old each. After my word she tried to convince me to take care of the child with her, that I am his father. At that moment I exploded. I was so angry and I had held back so much the urge to scream that I just yelled her to go and take her own son with her. A week has passed since that and I am at home. It is in my name because it is a gift from my parents. She went to her parents' house with her kid. She has not called me since then. She left with everything and the half-asleep kid when I yelled at her, especially since it was the first time I really yelled at her. It sure affected her. I talked to my parents and my dad told me that I did the right thing and that I shouldn't be raising something that is not of my blood, and I agree with him. However, the pain is still there. My younger brother told me to write here to entertain myself. I am currently seeing a therapist 3 times a week, who told me that I have already taken the first step, which was to leave behind what causes me pain. It just hurts to know that my family no longer exists. Regarding why my sister-in-law told me everything, according to her, she felt guilty seeing me always happy with my son, knowing that he may not be mine, and that the fact that we went to visit her in a moment of weakness caused her to completely break down with guilt. I don't know how true that is. I just know that right now I feel tremendous hatred for my wife and a feeling between pain and resentment for the child. Although it's just time to get ahead, I just hope the divorce goes smoothly. We have separate finances and properties and if she really asks for child support I have proof that it's not mine. According to my lawyer that's more than enough if she tries a legal process for that. My therapist also recommended that I not see him nor her, that regardless of the child's feelings, I should focus on my own first, that the child is no longer my problem and the sooner I accept it, the better. Story 2. My husband's ex thought he'd be a deadbeat dad and seems upset that he's not. I married my husband about a year ago but we've been together for around 4 years and he has a 4-year-old from a past marriage. Both my husband and his ex admit that they got married too young and for the wrong reasons, and that emotionally it ended before they officially said it. She also cheated on him, with different partners, for a large part of their marriage, all around, just not the right people for each other, which happens. She got pregnant after they had already started to think about ending things, and to make a long story short, he and his family and frankly myself, are convinced that she got pregnant entirely on purpose, like the cliched poke a hole in the contraceptives and initiate the deed while actively tracking her period. While she was pregnant, she said she wanted a divorce. Fast forward, she had the baby. He tried to stay and make it work for their son, but in the end they got a divorce, and he and I got together. I did not know him when they were married, to be clear. I love him and his son so deeply and he and I have had very open conversations on my role as a stepmom. He fought for her to accept a 50-50 custody schedule. Scheduling is up to them, not a judge. After he and I moved in together after only having him for weekends and paying crazy high child support, and still giving her money anytime she said she needed it for their son, I am able to do daycare pickup and drop off while his work schedule didn't allow for that, which is why he only did weekends. So now we have him 50% of the time. He still pays the child support but does not send her money, and she and I communicate a lot as I took on a relatively traditional mother role. The biological parents still handle all major decisions but my husband regularly consults with me on them, especially because I have higher education in child development, but every decision and milestone starts a fight between them. She was mad when I gave him a haircut during his time with us, nothing drastic, just a trim because it was in his eyes, and it wasn't his first. She was upset when we took him to an event on our time because she wanted to take him, but we had no idea, and it was during our regularly scheduled time she got mad when my husband got him his first bike because she should have been able to do that with him like my husband isn't allowed to have core memories with his own son as well. There are honestly more, even her getting mad when he called their son's doctor to just ask a general question, and she gets upset when she finds out about me doing anything motherly. A recent fight between them was when he asked to lower child support, not even get rid of it, because he and I are both in well-paying jobs and agreed we could afford helping her. Since we have equally split custody, she lost it, and said she is the primary parent and deserves the support. Unkind words were shared and nothing was really resolved. This is such a common trend in our co-parenting, and when venting to my best friends, she suggested that his ex thought he'd be avoiding paying debts and neglects responsibilities and she got pregnant to guarantee being a mom and get financial support from him, but didn't expect to have to co-parent or share because she thought he'd be irresponsible. He's very far from it. It made so much sense when she said it out loud. My husband and I both do our best to be supportive and help alleviate the strain of being a single parent, even though his ex does have a partner, but that's a whole other story. Things like always making sure his ex knows we can be flexible with work to help with childcare needs no matter whose time it is. We are very flexible with holidays, and are always willing to go off the schedule for special events. We'll send photos when he's with us and always do FaceTimes if he's missing his mom. But he has stopped asking lately. If anyone has advice on how to navigate this co-parenting relationship so our son can grow up with as little trauma from split households as possible, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Story 3. My friend slept with my man behind my back. What should I do? I began seeing this guy, Mark, whom I went to school with. It was something casual, some feelings involved, and since we go to a small school, everyone knew we were seeing each other. He had a somewhat reputation as a player, and despite my feelings for him, I was aware I couldn't get too involved despite his protests to take me out. Now for another piece of information. I've had a small group of friends since elementary school. It consisted of 4 girls, and we'd been consistent in our friendship, especially all throughout high school. One of these girls, Angie, was closest to me as our parents are family friends. I did everything with her, constant hangouts, I'd drive her everywhere. She was always at my house or I was at hers. She was there for me during the whole situation with Mark. She knew exactly how I felt about him and everything we did, including him having my first kiss. Some information regarding Angie. She's always been a little insecure. She's definitely not ugly, with a solid figure and pretty face, but we were both pretty late bloomers. Up to this point she'd never had her first kiss or talked with a guy. I'd heard from mutual friends that she comes off as desperate, but I never thought of her like that. She'd also been mean to our other friends in the group if she liked the same guy they did. She was also a little cold, never initiating physical contact, but that never seemed out of the blue to me. She'd been that way since we were 8. Now, about 2 months ago, we noticed her being distant with us and closer to Mark's friends. It wasn't unusual for them to talk, as our friend groups were intertwined a bit. It was only when the end of senior year was rolling around that all 4 of us planned to hang out to decorate our class shirts, and she ignored us the day of. We later found out she ditched us to hang out with Mark at a bar. Fine, this wasn't suspicious to me that much cause I trusted her. Then she started ignoring us at school and would only talk to Mark and his friends. I got a little paranoid at this point and asked her point blank if there was anything going on between them. She said no, and that she'd never do that to us. That was the end of that. On my birthday, about a week ago, we went to a bar to celebrate. They were both invited, and we stayed out till 2 a.m. As I walked back, I saw his car by itself in the parking lot, and Angie's location pinged right there. The car drove away as I got closer, and she excused it by saying that he was throwing up. I was upset, and vented to our friend Lane. Now I'm not proud of this, but one of the girls who was part of the friend group managed to log into Lane's Instagram because of some fallout the two of them had. There, she found messages of Angie and Lane describing the events that were going down between Angie and Mark. Angie would brag about it, and Lane would encourage her. All this on the day of my birthday. We saw Angie 4 days ago, where none of us talked to her because we were understandably pissed and hurt. The boys in our friend group noticed, including Mark, and now that Angie, presumably, knows that we know, she's been posting stuff about not caring and wanting to make us even more mad. I don't care about Mark, but about Angie's betrayal. I'm just so hurt because we've been friends for over a decade. This was so out of the blue and her response has hurt me even more. What should I do? Should I confront her in person? What should I say? Any advice would be greatly appreciated, and if you guys have any questions let me know. Edit. I really didn't expect all this attention on the post, but I'm going to clear some stuff. I'm not particularly hurt by the fact that he did this. I figured it would have happened eventually. What I am hurt about is that it was my best friend who got with him. I would have expected any other girl, just not someone so close to me who knew exactly how I felt about him. He can go F himself. I'm upset about the principle of what she did. Story 4. My boyfriend's brother started dating his ex and I don't know how to navigate this. My boyfriend Declan found out through the grapevine that his brother Jeremy started dating his ex-girlfriend back in their hometown. They have always been extremely close as brothers and always refer to each other as best friends too. My boyfriend has always gone above and beyond to support his brother through life, relationships, and some difficult ongoing health issues that he faces. Months prior in a conversation between them, my boyfriend was asking him who he's seeing up there. Jeremy explained he's casually seeing a handful of girls, nothing serious, and did tell him that one of the girls he's seeing is Declan's ex-girlfriend, Amy. Jeremy justified. It's just a small town and it was nothing serious. Declan was understanding, but told him that if they did start seeing each other seriously that he would not be okay with it, and it would really damage their relationship. Jeremy again reassured him, laughing saying, he wouldn't let it get that far and he would quit it long before that. Well, fast forward to a couple weeks ago, my boyfriend and I are at a party, and some people from his hometown are there. This is where he learned that Amy and Jeremy have been dating for a little while now. Declan texted his brother to fact check, and was met with a wow, I can't believe you're actually tripping about that. Declan then called his mom who had, just the week before, been down visiting us, to ask her if she had known. She explained that she did know. She said that she asked Jeremy if Declan knew, and Jeremy had told her that Declan knows and is fine with it. Also that she might have to excuse herself from the call because Amy was currently in the driveway. That brings us to now. We had been planning for months to go up and visit their hometown and his family this summer, vacation time booked, and we were both looking forward to going so much. We both really love spending time with them all. It's also very special to me because I have never had a close family. Declan no longer wants to go visit, which I completely understand and support. He is feeling very betrayed. Then to add to all of this, he is constantly being invalidated and pressured to get over it by his family. When he tries to open up about his feelings and boundaries, his mom says something dismissive like exes just bring you closer to finding what you actually want or that relationship was years ago. You have to get over it. From Declan's perspective, he feels like, is it really so hard to believe that I don't want to have family dinners with my ex-girlfriend? I told my brother from the start how things would go if he did start dating her seriously. He told me he wouldn't. He lied to me, and then hid it from me for months. He is even starting to question whether his mom actually knew and hid it from him too, because she didn't mention anything about it the week prior when she was visiting us. Jeremy is so babied, and maybe that stems from some of her feeling very protective over him because of his health challenges. His mom says she's neutral, but she doesn't come across very neutral when she's dismissing his feelings, pressuring him to get over it, and guilting him to come to visit anyways for the sake of the family. Even his grandma messaged him to tell him how much he will hurt his mother if he doesn't go home to visit as planned. Like I said, I have never had a close family. I don't have anyone to celebrate holidays with, and having his family meant so much to me. I've also seen so much family conflict and cutting offs of family members in my life. From experience, I can say it's so horrible, a terrible sadness that follows you around forever. I don't want that for Declan. I don't want Declan to know the pain of not having family on the holidays. I have been trying so hard to just support Declan, and be there for him any way that I can. Besides that, I know that there is really nothing I can do to control any of this. I just hate that this is happening. I'm also worried that this is somehow looking bad on me. Maybe that's just an anxious thought, but I don't want his family to think that I'm the one making him react this way and separating him from his family. But I do have Declan's back 100%. I'm not super bothered by the girl, but I have some concerns too. I know that Jeremy is not a good boyfriend. When we all lived together, I witnessed his anger issues, throwing things across the room, flying off the handle at small things. I witnessed him hurt his ex-girlfriend, throwing things at her, cornering her, screaming in her face. Once I had to get in the middle of it because it was so horrible and scary. He struggles with alcoholism, and he would often come home from work under the influence, so I spent a lot of time locked in my room afraid. I don't really like the idea of having family dinners and holidays with my boyfriend's ex, but most of all, I'm concerned for her. When Jeremy is not drinking and messing his life up, he is a beautiful person, funny and full of life. The idea was for Jeremy to move home, get healthy, get sober, just generally get his life together. Before he moved home, we let his mom know that he's also a substance dealer, and she was disappointed and was going to keep an eye on things. Now, he lives at home, and is still a substance dealer, but I don't think his mom knows. It just feels like nothing is changing, and now the whole family is blown up. Please give me anything you've got. Any sort of opinion, support, or advice would be so helpful. Edit. PLS, be kind. I'm trying my best, but I have feelings too.